Macmillan Audio presents Attucks, Oscar Robertson and the Basketball Team That Awakened the City by Phillip Hoose. Read for you by Brad Sanders. A note from the author. Oscar's contention. Whites could see his talent, but what whites did not know was the special niche Oscar Robertson had in the hearts of black athletes everywhere. For it was Oscar as a player at an all-black school in Indianapolis called Crispus Attucks, who had led his team to the state championship in 1955 and 1956. The state tourney in Indiana was something of a national event, and until then, it had been a white-dominated event. There were thousands and thousands of blacks who had never set foot inside Indiana who knew what had happened. David Halberstam, The Breaks of the Game. I grew up in Speedway, Indiana, a community connected by a bridge to Indianapolis. On the east side of the 16th Street Bridge, it was and is Indianapolis. On the west, it was Speedway. When I moved there with my family in 1956, Speedway had 11,000 residents, all of whom were white except for one family, the Burtons. Evelyn, the family's only child, was in my fourth grade class. She was tall and slender, had a high-pitched laugh, and liked to jump rope on the playground. I never worked up the nerve to speak to her, though I was endlessly curious about her. How did she come to be with us? Did it feel any different to have dark skin like hers rather than light skin like mine? What would it be like to talk with her? What did she think of us? There were even greater mysteries on the Indianapolis side of the bridge. Somewhere in Indianapolis, there was said to be a school where all black kids in the city went. The name sounded strange, Crispus Attucks, pronounced Attucks. We all called it Christmas Attucks, not to make fun, but because that's what we thought the name was. No one in Speedway seemed to have any idea where this school was. It was just out there somewhere south of 16th Street by the baseball stadium, they said, and not that far away. On Saturdays, my dad sometimes drove us into Indianapolis to shop at the downtown department stores. As we approached the White River and the central part of the city, we passed through a neighborhood of slumping, ramshackle frame houses, most bigger than ours but more run down. Kids ran around in the front yards, just like my friends and I did in Speedway. But they all had dark skin. Gazing out the car window, I wondered the same kinds of things about those kids as I wondered about Evelyn. Did they play what I played? Did they have TVs? Did they watch my shows? Were they happy? What would happen if I jumped out of the car and ran over to try to play with them? Why was everyone in this neighborhood black, whereas almost everyone in my town was white? The only actual contact we in Speedway had with African Americans was through the Indiana high school basketball tournament. Sometimes Speedway was in the same sectional round as Attucks, and we occasionally played against them. We never beat them, though. In Speedway, the Attucks team was legendary. Attucks had won the entire state tournament, beating out more than 700 other teams the year before my family arrived in Speedway. Their star player, Oscar Robertson, was said to be the greatest basketball player ever in Indiana. People talked about him all the time. He was probably the most famous person in the city. Oscar had such an impact that 3 years after he graduated from high school and left Indianapolis to live in Cincinnati, a newspaper poll still proclaimed Oscar Robertson to be the most admired person in Indianapolis. In 1986, long after I had left Indiana to move east, I had a chance to meet Oscar Robertson and have a long talk with him. Sports Illustrated magazine hired me to go to Indiana to conduct interviews for a story.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?